Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 1st. Let's get going. It's a rainy day, so there's not a lot of things to do. I decided to visit the fox at the shrine, and like always, she seems pretty happy that I've successfully completed another Emma. After chilling for a bit, I head home to find Nanako has set up a bamboo tree for Tanabata. You're supposed to write your wish down and tie it to the tree, so I wish to have more time with Nanako. To make sure my wish comes true, I spend a precious moment with her. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 2nd. Let's get going. I meet up with the fox after school to pick up my new quest, which is to fulfill this model shopkeeper's quest to make a model. Rather than build Gunpla today, I head into the TV to make some progress on rescuing Rise. I decide to try and balance my EXP among the group, and with Chie's addition to the team, she seems eager to prove herself.
Ready to go! Go!
We come to floor 7. And Shadow Rise, embarrassed, turns out the lights so we can't see her. After getting ambushed a few more times than I'd like to admit, I find her and her giant pet snake. After hitting him with the big stick, we make our way up to the next roadblock before heading back. I call it an early night after eating some leftovers out of the fridge. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 3rd. Let's get going. I wake up to a phone call from Ayane, asking me to hang out today. I figure, why not? There weren't any other plans I had. We meet up at Okina Station, where I discover Ayane dresses like she's simultaneously 11 and 92. Thankfully, I'm not left alone with the elderly child, as Daisuke catches us. He tries to embarrass us by asking if we're out on a date, and he realizes that it's a, quote, work in progress. I come back home to catch the shopping channel, and end up buying a big packet of peach seeds, before starting work on that old man's model kit. Speaking of model kits, I have 2 videos of me podcasting my model kits. Go watch them if you want. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 4th. Let's get going. After ducking Ayane's mild stalking at lunch, I decide today is the day we rescue Rise. We waltz into the bisexual strip show just in time to catch Shadow Rise revealing her true feelings. She's sick of pretending to be an airheaded ditz and wants to expose her sexuality. Rise denies this.
You're not me!
And we head into a cutscene battle. I call it this because once Shadow Rise hits a certain percentage of HP, we literally can't hit her and have to wait. She scans us, seeing all of our weaknesses, and prepares to nail us with a huge attack. Teddy saves us all by taking the blast, flattening in the process. Rise embraces her hypersexuality and awakens to Himiko. Before we can truly get her out of the TV though, Teddy starts to question himself and oh my god! We face our actual boss for the day. His patterns consist of buffing himself or debuffing us, followed by a big attack. So by guarding every other turn, we help Teddy come to terms with his existence and awaken Kintoki Doji. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 5th. Let's get going. After being accosted by Yukiko and Daisuke at lunch, I decide to head to band practice, as I'm almost done with Ayane's social link. After practice, she drags me to Samigawa and tells me about how her whole life, she's never really expressed her opinions, trying to avoid conflict as much as possible. When I stood up for her at the last practice, she realized that she needs to be more selfish in the way she conducts herself. She thanks me for helping her realize she shouldn't be such a doormat, and before she can do what she dragged me out here to do, I tell her that I have feelings for her. Lolly be damned. Having acquired my first girlfriend, I head home to do what all guys in relationships do. Build Gundams in complete silence. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 6th. Let's get going. At lunch, Ai tries to get me to skip class again, but I tell her I'd think about it, as I've got some errands to run today. After trading some boots for a book and buying some new gear to keep us on par, I wind up heading to the movies with Yosuke. I forgot to mention that he called me last night, whining about how badly he wanted to see Dominator 2, and I get rewarded for bringing him with a level up. At home, I talk with Dojima, but Nanako interrupts us to say Dojima promised to read her a bedtime story. Like every hangout with him prior, he receives a phone call before he can successfully be a good dad, but this time he listens to me when I call him out on it. After Nanako falls asleep, he and I have a conversation about that phone call. It was an old coworker of his that he asked to run some tests regarding Chisato's accident, but it seems like nothing new was found. He says he feels immensely guilty that he'll never be able to find the killer, and while I'm still here, he says he needs to face himself. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 7th. Let's get going. At lunch, my girlfriend comes up to me and asks if I'm heading to band practice, and like the simp I am, I head there immediately. After tooting with the lolly, I can tell she wants to hang out more, so I suggest we head back to my place. Ooh. We awkwardly sit in silence, and Ayane tries to cut the tension by mentioning that my room smells like me. What are you, a dog? After a while, Ayane leaves, and I head downstairs to harvest the veggies.
Great vegetables.
I work on my gunpla more in the evening, and actually complete the model. Too bad the weather's going to be terrible for the next few days. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 8th. Let's get going. It's supposed to rain all day today and tomorrow, so I decide to get some fishing in while the fish are biting. After catching my 6 fish, I head back home to spend some time with Nanako. She tells me she lost the paper she needs for parent-teacher conferences, so I help her look for it so she doesn't get into trouble. I find it in a stack of papers that Dojima's usually going through, and it's filled out with the word anytime. I also find a photo right underneath it, so I show both of these things to Nanako. She giggles at her father's attempt at being available, and stops when she notices that the photos of her mother, father, and her while she was still small. In a moment of maturity, Nanako asks why her father stopped smiling, and I tell her it's because he's lonely too. She realizes that her mother's death didn't just affect her, and apologizes for being selfish in her grief. This kid's more emotionally mature than some adults I know. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 9th. Let's get going. It's raining again, and this time I decide to take my scooter for a long ride. Eventually, I'll work up the courage to get to the beach. At night, I catch the weather with Nanako, and see that the fog's setting in, so I catch the Midnight Channel. As expected, Risei's nowhere to be found, so I head to bed and sleep nice and soundly. No one got murdered this time. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 10th. Let's get going. Well, I'll be damned. I wake up to the sound of sirens and a phone call from Chie telling me they found a dead body, so we gather at Jeunesse to discuss this new development. Yosuke shows up with news of who it was. Our homeroom teacher, King Moron. Kanji freaks out, saying this doesn't fit any of the patterns so far, and a despondent Yosuke asks if we're in over our heads. I suggest that maybe the killer did this as a way of throwing us off, and we decide to ask Teddy about the situation. We find Teddy out and about in our world, and he says he didn't feel anyone get thrown in last night. Rather than waste time asking him the same thing over and over, we decide to go...
Whoa! What the? Much better.
Oh no, he's hot!
visit Risei. While the rest of the crew eat Topsicles, Yukiko and I run into Kanji's boyfriend, who turns out to be a detective named Naoto. Naoto asks us a few questions, then runs off at the sight of Risei. She pulls us to the shrine, and tells us all she wants to join the cause. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 11th. Let's get going. In contrast to our extremely busy day yesterday, today's a lot less eventful. At school, rumors are afoot, and we get introduced to our new homeroom teacher, Miss Kashiwagi.
I'll be taking good care of you instead.
She says that exams are starting next week as planned, and she rants about how Risei will eventually lose her looks. I'm already over Kashiwagi. After school, we meet up at Jeunesse to do some theory crafting on why and how Morooko was murdered. While discussing, we rule out the possibility of it being a personal attack, as Risei says that if the murderer is targeting people because they're on TV, there's no way they could have a personal connection with them all. We get a visit from the Truth Fairy when Naoto shows up again. He tells us to stop wasting our time investigating, as they've already found a suspect. Satisfied that the case is finally closed, I spend the evening with Nana-chan. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 12th. Let's get going. In class, Kashiwagi gives us a lesson on the sex of cats, namely that most calico cats are female. She says this will be on the exams next week, and speaking of those, make sure to get your questions in the comments for the Q&A. After collecting a few new quests, I decide to do some fishing since it's raining. In the evening, though, Adachi makes a surprise visit to the house to have dinner with me and Nanako. We're having stew. While talking, Adachi brings up how I'm going to be moving back to the city next spring, and Nanako gets visibly upset. To rectify this, Adachi does my tried and true method of doing a magic trick. He magically teleports a 500 yen coin into my pocket from across the table. This perks Nanako right up. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 13th. Let's get going. On the way to school, Yukiko ducks under my umbrella and explains that Chie probably forgot to give hers back. She gets a little nervous, saying people might start spreading rumors, but I tell her I'm fine with that. After class, with the rain now over, I can finally feed the cat and show the shop owner the completed Gundam. The model brings a tear to his eye, and he reminisces about the old days of model building. Before running off to the shrine to thank Kami-sama, he hands me another model to make. Oh boy. I report to the fox immediately, and like always, she's pretty happy. In the evening, I spend some time with Dojima. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 14th. Let's get going. Since I cleared the Emma's request, I visit the Fox after school to get a new one. This one's a bit weird though, as it's a student at my school who wants to learn how to converse with people. I find her on the roof, and like every tsundere bully girl in an anime, I want to date her. She runs off after I try to strike up conversation, so I decide to spend my day with Kanji. We go for a walk, and I bring up the rumors that I've been hearing about him bullying people. I honestly don't believe them, but I want to make sure he knows that I trust him. He tells me he wants to confide in me, and I form a bond with Troy Baker. I spend my evening tutoring Nakajima-san. Rat. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 15th. Let's get going. After class, I run to the roof to talk to the tsundere, and I offer her speaking lesson. She runs away, leaving me to do something I haven't done in a while. A grind session. This one is a bit of a three-pronged attack. I have some quests that need items, so I hunt those down. While hunting those items down, I can catch everyone up to about level 38, but most importantly, this grind session is going to be one of many to knock out the most annoying achievement in the game. Hardcore Reset Fan. This achievement is going to be the bane of my existence, as it only gets harder to complete the further into the game you go. Rise will eventually lose some lines she says, and as party members level up, they learn skills that heal ailments and gain resistances to them. After grinding out everything I need, I head home, and while upstairs, I get a call from Ko asking to hang out this Sunday. This hangout's super important, as another book is locked behind it. I say yes, and then harvest the veggies with fam.
Great vegetables.
And spend the evening with Dojima. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 16th. Let's get going. In class, I get called on during our lesson on Charlemagne, and how the King of Hearts in a playing card deck is based on him. Miss Sofue asks what distinguishes the King of Hearts from the rest of them, and I revel in my obscure trivia knowledge that the King of Hearts doesn't have a mustache because of an etching error. You'll never know where those margin doodles will take you. After taking a nice long ride in the rain, I head home to spend time with Nanako. She tells me she and Dojima had a bonding moment over the photo, and she learned he hasn't forgotten about those precious moments when she was younger.
I'm glad to be Dad's daughter.
Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 17th. Let's get going. It's Sunday, and since I've already made plans with Ko and Daisuke for a little study session, we meet up at Junes. Ko asks if I'm okay at math, and in order to get the required book that I need, I have to lie and say I'm absolutely dogshit. After acquiring my book, the girls show up, turning Ko into a blubbering mess. Chie gets angry, thinking he has the hots for Yukiko, but little does she know. I get home and head upstairs to watch Tanaka's shopping channel, and end up buying a purple suit. After purchasing the drip, I read before bed. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 18th. Let's get going. I wake up to the realization that we're off school today, rather than the anticipated exams. I decide to take this opportunity to kickstart my social link with Yosuke. We grab some steak croquettes from Sozai Dagaku, but while hanging out, some local moms walk by and gossip about Yosuke and his family. He brushes this off, saying that the only bad part of being locally famous is having to mind his manners. Yosuke learns Chifuri, an instant escape move, and after scarfing down some croquettes, we go our separate ways. I come home to Dojima digging through some paperwork, and I offer to make him some coffee. He laughs and opens up to me about how he's glad I came to live with them for the year, as he had forgotten what a warm home was like. He says that me being here has helped him realize he was running away from his problems. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 19th. Let's get going. It's the start of our exams, and that means it's time for our exam Q&A. Our first question from Fishman573 is why the day in-game doesn't match the IRL date. The actual next year that matches up exactly day to day with the in-game calendar, 2011, is 2033. Rather than wait about 9 years to play P4G, I figured I'd continue on with the next in the series after completing P3. This leads into the next question from Diaboro Devil, who asked for my thoughts on Metaphor ReFantazio. I'm actually fairly excited for Metaphor. It follows a similar structure to Persona in its day-by-day gameplay, but with more classical RPG elements and some light action. I'm actually debating on if this might be the next everyday series, or if I should just get on with Persona 5 after this, considering we seem to be pretty close to the announcement and release of Persona 6. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 20th. Let's get going. Our next question comes from Pork Champ Bread, and they ask who the best bro is from P3, 4, and 5. If you had asked this question this time last year, my answer would have been Ryuji. I'm not a big fan of the overly horny teenager trope in these games, and Junpei just kinda seemed asshole-ish at first. But, having completed Persona 3 Fast in the Answer, I can say without a doubt that Junpei is the best bro. He's really done justice by his growth being tied to the story. He feels super fleshed out and more like a well-written character than insta-killing the homophobe. This leads to our next question from Ginkage, who asks what my favorite story is of the Hashino series. I think the most interesting might be 4. The murder mystery aspect coupled with its themes and overall feel add up to a super investing story. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 21st. Let's get going. Today's question comes from the Triple Ace, who asked what my favorite subject in school was, and if I speak any other languages. In school, I was actually a pretty big math nerd. I had an individualized education plan that basically told my teachers to give me more work if I was done with the regular stuff, so I constantly had 20 to 30 page packets of math problems. In terms of languages, I don't speak any other fluently, but I know varying amounts of Arabic, Italian, German, and Japanese, and enough Spanish to get by if I'm lost or need help. Shout out to Dora the Explorer, she a real one. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 22nd. Let's get going. Our final question comes from good friend of the channel, Photos by Jump Reel. He asks when our next exams are. Unfortunately, I think we'll have to wait until after summer break. He also asks how many falafel I could eat in one sitting, and after thinking about it for a good long while, I could probably eat 5 or 6. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 23rd. Let's get going. Exams are finally over. Thank you to everyone who asked a question that I couldn't get to. After comparing answers, we all decided to head to Junes to recap the case, since it's been so long. Now that the police have a suspect, we have to basically sit on our thumbs, as Kanji puts it. Like a bolt from the blue, Adachi rounds the corner and exposits that the police are having trouble locating the suspect. Rather than let the conversation die, Chie changes the subject, asking, "Where's Teddy?" Yosuke reveals that he's been hiding Sam Riegel in his closet, and letting him be the local mascot for Junes. Everyone heads off to bully Ted, leaving Rise and I alone. She flirts with me, and after being shown a mirror of my actions of Operation Shad Thundercock, I form a bond with the pop star. At home, I harvest the veggies, and then watch the news with Nanako. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 24th. Let's get going. It's Sunday, and that means Tanaka time. He's selling a kitchen knife combo and 48 sodas. Say bye-bye to thirst. I head to the shopping center to do some, shopping, and run into none other than Marie. She says she wants to head to Junes, as she's got some pocket change. While hanging around, we run into Teddy, and after investigating him, Marie declares him gross. I agree. Eventually, we find ourselves surrounded by the whole gang, and everyone, really just Yosuke, starts asking Marie a ton of questions. Chie calls him out for scaring Marie, and Kanji agrees, saying he's not being very subtle. This stuns everyone, and we find out Kanji thinks the word subtle is pronounced subbuttle. After laughing it up, everyone leaves, and I get to see Marie laugh for the first time. In the evening, I share a tender moment with Nanako. Welcome to Persona Every Day. Today's July 25th. Let's get going. The exam results got posted today, and as expected, I got the top score. Kanji and Rise come up to class to congratulate me, and the topic of conversation drifts to the group's summer plans. Yosuke suggests hitting the beach for totally innocent reasons, no ulterior motives whatsoever. Unfortunately, everyone agrees that the beach is a great idea, and Rise not so subtly fishes for a compliment, asking who I want to see in a swimsuit. There's only one correct answer.
Mine's nothing special. Crotcherry's thin and built for speed, so...
After escaping class, I head up to the roof to give my final lesson to the awkward girl, and head off to work at the daycare. Like normal, Eri comes to pick up Yuta, and he runs off to avoid her. While making small talk, Eri brings up that she believes in determinism, the idea that your life is planned out before you're born. Rather than engage with her on this, I head home, only to be greeted by Nanako, who made me a present for getting top marks. I immediately put it on, then head upstairs to read. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 26th. Let's get going. At lunch, Ayane comes to me and asks if I'm heading to band practice today. Surprisingly, after practice, Ayane decides to come over to my house. She gives me a gift, a handwritten ticket to her first concert, and says that being with me has shown her that she needs to reach out and grab the things she wants. After proclaiming that she wants to stay with me, I max the first of many social links. Speaking of grabbing things she wants. While Ayane does the walk of shame back to her house, I end up watching the Midnight Channel.
You and your friends are dead. Game over. You're fucking dead. And your friends too. Beautiful. You're dead. Your friends are dead. Your family's dead. Your fucking pets are being skinned alive. Your mom's a fucking whore. You suck at life. The whole world hates you. You're going to hell. Live with it. Game over.
Huh. I guess they run episodes of AVGN on TV now. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 27th. Let's get going. As soon as I wake up, I rush over to the food court to meet up with the gang and discuss last night's Midnight Channel. The girls think he might genuinely be the culprit behind the murders, and Yosuke puts forth a super in-depth hypothesis. Since we've been foiling his plans, he got desperate, murdered Morooka, and is now hiding in the TV. Rise shows up and gives us a mission to find out who the guy is, and we break together clues. While sleuthing, I run into Dojima, who promptly yells at me for digging around. Guess I'll have to get that out of Adachi. I take a long ride on my scooter to collect my thoughts and wind up at Shichiri Beach. I figure that while I'm here, I might as well get a swim in. I head home, and Nanako says Dojima's on his way, so she starts making dinner. She delegates me as the salad maker, and hands me a family photo, saying I'm part of the family too.
I love you, big bro.
I love you too, Nanako. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 28th. Let's get going. We're still gathering clues today, and after a quick 3-minute walk to Junes, I encounter the man I'm looking for, Adacho. Like normal, he blabbers and lets slip that the angry video game incel had a job in the shopping district, so I pop over there. This guy in a suit says that Sozai Daigaku might be where he worked, and boy howdy was he right. The lady at the meat shop says that he only worked there for a small while, cutting beef, and that we should talk to his classmate. After hitting another dead end, I decide to report to the Fox that the Emma's wish was granted. In the evening, I head to my hospital janitor job in the hopes that I'll be groomed again, but instead I run into this old lady in funeral garb. She disappears, and I get dragged into a private room by Sayoko. Ooh. He called me cute! Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 29th. Let's get going. Today's the last day of our info hunt, as I catch the suspect's old classmate outside Marukyuu. He says he's been showing everyone a copy of the kid's yearbook photo, and his name turns out to be Mitsuo Kubo. Rather than head into the TV and go headhunting, I decide to play it cool and work at the daycare. Like clockwork, Yuda's stepmom shows up to pick him up, and he throws a fit, so rather than deal with his shit, Eri just turns around and goes home. I decide to walk him home, and on the way we notice Eri sitting at the gazebo. I tell Yuta to go apologize, and he says that he feels sorry for her. After speaking with Eri, it's clear that these two both pity each other and just don't know how to say it. I leave the pity party to instead head to work at the hospital, and I run into that old lady again. She mentions that she usually hangs out at the river when she has days off, so I make a mental note to head there this weekend. She walks off, and I get told by Sayoko to clean up one of the freshly used rooms. She kinda rambles her thoughts, and lets slip the idea that she has separation anxiety. Oof. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 30th, and it's a doozy. Today's a prime example of why I haven't been completing dungeons in one day. After a quick shopping trip and showing everyone Mitsuo's photo, we head into one of my favorite dungeons to catch him. While climbing, we witness another team-up attack, and upon making it to the top floor, I discover that I have to drop back down to find a key. While down, I figure I might as well clean up my personas, and I find what can barely be called a mid-boss. After watching Gohan confront his shadow,
I'm the one behind everything!
we fight one of my favorite bosses. He's the first boss that gets a second turn, and it's just like an old school RPG, stat check. We clear it with no problem, and drag Mitsuo out of the TV. He seems mildly confused, but claims responsibility for the murders, so we call the cops to take care of him. While relaxing, Teddy suggests a celebration dinner, and we all decide to make it a cooking contest at the Dojima residence. Rise makes it extra spicy, Yukiko makes it, boneless, and Chie just makes it plain awful. we all promised to head to the festival in the shopping district. Welcome to Persona Everyday. Today's July 31st. Let's get going. Like every Sunday, I start the day off with a viewing of Tanaka's Amazing Commodities. This week, the Maneki Neko catches my eye. After my retail therapy for yesterday, I actually run into that old lady from the hospital. She introduces herself as Hisano Kuroda.
I am death.
I mean death. Wait, Ryoji? After my brush with death, I end the day by harvesting some veggies with Nanako and reading some gardening tips.